This is my story, one piano's journey through the echoes of time and the music that filled its strings. I remember the day I first opened my lid to the world. It was the spring of 1924, and the air inside the piano store was rich with the scent of polished wood and fresh varnish. Craftsmen had labored for months to shape me, each curve and corner of my mahogany frame, lovingly carved by skilled hands. My strings were taut, my hammers pristine, and my ivory keys gleamed under the soft glow of gas lamps. The store was a sanctuary for instruments like me, each awaiting a destiny filled with music and emotion. Customers strolled through the showroom, their voices hushed as if in a sacred space. Among them was a gentleman in a tailored suit, his silver pocket watch glinting subtly with each measured step. Accompanying him was a young woman with eyes that sparkled like the finest gemstones. She moved with an elegance that seemed to make time slow, her fingers hovering just above my keys, as though she were absorbing my very essence. When she finally played, the notes cascaded like a waterfall, filling the room with a melody so pure it seemed to capture the essence of joy itself. Other patrons paused in their browsing, drawn in by the music that flowed from my strings. "This is the one," she whispered to her father, her voice barely audible but filled with conviction. And so, my journey began. I was transported to the Whitmore estate, a sprawling mansion perched atop a hill overlooking the city. The grandeur of the home was breathtaking: marble floors that reflected the golden glow of chandeliers, walls adorned with masterpieces from renowned artists, and windows draped in the finest silk. The aroma of fresh flowers mingled with the scent of aged wood, creating an atmosphere both opulent and inviting. I was placed in the grand salon, a room reserved for only the most esteemed guests and occasions. Miss Eleanor Whitmore, the young woman who had chosen me, was a prodigy. Under the tutelage of maestros from Europe, her talents flourished. Together, we explored the complexities of Beethoven's sonatas and the passionate rhythms of Chopin's nocturnes. Her touch was delicate yet deliberate, each keystroke imbued with emotion. She often confided in me during late-night practices, her whispered hopes and fears becoming melodies that only we shared. Evenings at the Whitmore estate were filled with lavish gatherings. Dignitaries, artists, and intellectuals mingled amidst laughter and the clinking of crystal glasses filled with the finest champagne. Eleanor would perform, and I became the vessel through which her soul communicated with the world. The applause that followed was thunderous, reverberating through my wooden frame and filling me with a profound sense of accomplishment. Guests would gather around me afterward, their conversations filled with praise for the music we created together. Yet, beneath the veneer of opulence, a silent tension grew. The whispers began: a stock market crash, fortunes lost overnight. The Great Depression had cast its long shadow, and even the Whitmores were not immune. The grand party ceased, and the halls that once echoed with music fell silent. The staff was reduced, artworks were sold, and the estate took on an air of melancholy. One summer afternoon, movers arrived. I was covered with a heavy cloth and carried away, my destination unknown. Eleanor stood in the doorway, her eyes glistening with tears she fought to contain. "Take care of her," she murmured to the men, her hand lingering on my polished surface one last time. I had dreamed of gracing concert halls, of sharing music with the masses. Instead, I found myself in a dimly lit storage facility, surrounded by forgotten furniture and crates covered in dust. The air was thick with the scent of neglect. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional drip of water or the scurrying of unseen creatures. Days turned into months, months into years. The world moved on without me. I longed for the touch of Eleanor's fingers, the warmth of a melody played with passion. My once glossy finish dulled, and my strings loosened. Hope faded like the distant memories of laughter and applause. I often wondered what had become of Eleanor. Did she find another piano? Did she continue to play, or had the music left her life as it had mine? Just when despair threatened to consume me, light pierced the darkness. The tarp was lifted, and I found myself staring into the kind eyes of Mr. Thompson, the music teacher at Rockwood Elementary. "This old beauty still has some life in her," he said with a smile, his fingers gently brushing away layers of dust. I was loaded onto a truck, the journey jostling, but filled with a newfound anticipation. The city streets buzzed with activity, a stark contrast to the stillness I had endured. At the school, I was placed in a modest music room. The walls were adorned with colorful drawings, and the faint smell of chalk and crayons lingered in the air. Children gazed at me with wide-eyed wonder. Their small hands reached out tentatively, striking keys that produced sounds both discordant and delightful. Some laughed at the unexpected noises, while others stared in awe as Mr. Thompson demonstrated simple melodies. In this humble setting, I discovered a joy unlike any I had known. The children were uninhibited by technique or tradition. They played with pure, unadulterated enthusiasm. Each note was an exploration, each melody a new adventure. I became a centerpiece of their musical education, a gateway to a world of creativity and expression. The room often echoed with their laughter and the innocent missteps that are part of learning. Years flowed like a gentle river. Generations of students sat at my bench, their feet dangling above the floor. I witnessed their triumphs, a first mastered scale, a successful recital, and consoled their frustrations when fingers stumbled over tricky passages. My once bright keys had yellowed, and the finish on my wood bore the marks of countless little hands, but these imperfections became a testament to the life I had lived. Stickers of stars and smiley faces adorned my sides, tokens of affection from the children who saw me as more than just an instrument. One student in particular, a shy boy named Samuel, left an indelible mark on me. He struggled at first, his fingers awkward and unsure. Bullied for his stutter and small stature, the music room became his sanctuary. With patience and perseverance, he blossomed. Music became his language, and he spoke it fluently. The melodies he composed were filled with a depth of emotion that belied his years. Years later, I heard whispers that he had become a renowned composer, his works performed in the very concert halls I once dreamed of gracing. Then there was Lucy, a spirited girl with fiery red hair and a contagious laugh. She played with abandon, often improvising her own tunes. Her joy was infectious, and she reminded everyone that music was as much about feeling as it was about precision. Through students like Samuel and Lucy, I realized that my purpose was far greater than I had ever imagined. As seasons changed outside the classroom window, flowers blooming in spring, leaves turning gold in autumn, I remained a constant in the ever-evolving lives of these children. I watched friendships form over shared sheet music, and rivalries spark during recitals. The music room was a microcosm of life, filled with its own dramas and delights. I recall a snowy winter day when the school was nearly empty due to a storm. A small group of students huddled around me, their mittens discarded, fingers cold but eager. They played holiday songs, their voices joining in imperfect harmony. The warmth of their camaraderie chased away the chill, and for that moment, the outside world ceased to exist. Though my aspirations of performing on grand stages had gone unrealized, I found solace in the impact I had on these young lives. I was more than an instrument, I was a confidant, a teacher, a source of inspiration. The dusty old music room became my world, a place filled with laughter, learning, and the boundless energy of youth. Each scratch on my wood, each faded key, told a story of moments shared and memories made. As I approached my 60th year, time had taken its toll. My strings no longer held their tune, and some keys stuck despite the diligent efforts of the school's custodian, Mr. Jenkins, who often joked that I was held together by duct tape and dreams. Discussions arose about replacing me with a newer model. I understood, the children deserved the best opportunity to learn. On my final day in the music room, the students gathered around. Mr. Thompson, now graying at the temples but with eyes that still held a youthful sparkle, led them in a farewell concert. Each child played a piece, their melodies weaving together the tapestry of my memories. Laughter mixed with tears, and I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. They presented me with a handmade card, covered in drawings and heartfelt messages. "Thank you for the music, we'll miss you, you made us love playing." This is my story. I may have started as a pristine instrument with dreams of grandeur, but my true purpose was realized in the hearts and minds of the children at Rockwood Elementary. Through them, I found a legacy that would outlast any performance on a grand stage. My strings may have fallen silent, but the echoes of the music we created together will resonate through time. Years after I was retired from the music room, I was given a second chance. Mr. Thompson, now enjoying his retirement, had arranged for me to be restored by a group of dedicated alumni, students who remembered the worn piano that ignited their passion for music. Craftsmen repaired my aged frame, replaced my strings, and polished my keys. They marveled at the craftsmanship of a bygone era, taking care to preserve the character that time had bestowed upon me. I found a new home in a community center, where I once again became a source of joy and inspiration. Children, adults, and seniors alike gathered around, sharing their stories and songs. The center was a hub of activity, art classes, poetry readings, and, of course, music. I became the centerpiece of many gatherings, my notes filling the air during holiday celebrations and community events. One afternoon, as the golden hues of sunset filtered through the windows, a familiar figure approached. It was Eleanor, now in her twilight years, but with eyes that still sparkled like gemstones. She ran her fingers over my keys, a gentle smile forming on her lips. "I knew it was you," she whispered. She began to play, and for a moment, time seemed to fold in on itself. The melody was one we had shared so many years ago, filled with the same emotion and grace. Tears welled in her eyes, and as she finished, she rested her hands gently on my keys. We've both aged, she said softly, but the music is timeless. My dreams had come full circle. I may not have performed on the world's grandest stages, but I became a timeless vessel for the universal language of music, a legacy more profound than any standing ovation.